Hey folks, today I bring to you Hero Motion's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Featured here with the main four turtles, Splinter, Shredder, Karai, Baxter Stockman, April O'Neil, and last but certainly not least, Casey Jones. So, let's get right into it.
You won't flip this turtle on his shell.
Starting off with Leonardo, he was the first figure I made. Now, for the weapons, I just used blue rods glued onto the bottom of normal katana pieces from Ninjago with the little ring painted black around it. Now, for all the turtles, I used the 2014 head sculpt and shell as the base, sculpting around them and shaving off the straps. I then used the edge of a Lego cape for all of them and glued it around their head as a mask for the fabric look. For Leonardo specifically, I gave him circular knee pads, as I was still thinking of the design. And then I gave him his diagonal strap, as he should have, and then a sheath piece that I got from a knockoff figure. Next up is Raphael.
Yo mama.
For Raphael, I specifically wanted him to be the most armed of them all. So I gave him, instead of giving him any diagonal belt, which is unique to Donnie and Leo, I decided to give him two belts. On his second belt, he has his weaponry, being a couple shurikens, and on the back, I glued in two loops that can hold his sai. Like Leo, I used the 2014 bases, and I gave them all a black belt and then a loincloth, because their shell, I didn't extend their shell down. Raphael is also extended on the torso, top and bottom, very slightly, and since he's the buffest of them all, he has sculpted arms. And as a suggestion from Wedhead54 again, I gave him a toothpick in his mouth, so each of them has a unique head. Next up, we have Donatello.
If you ran the numbers, you'd walk away.
Donnie was definitely my favorite and most complicated of the turtles. His bow staff is simple. I just used a purple ribbed rod and then two brown rods on the end. I gave him a tri-strap, actually, which I was planning to give to Leo, but just forgot as making him. The belt and the loincloth is the same, as well as the head and shell. I glued a hand on his back to hold his staff. And for the goggles, I actually took the very top of night vision goggles and glued them onto a ring of electrical tape, so they're technically removable. Gave him goggles because, you know, he's the nerd and that's just stuck since the movies, since the 2014 movies, as a design on him. Next up we have Michelangelo. Now for Michelangelo, his nunchucks are probably the hardest part, being two tops of a carrot because I didn't have any other rods, and then a chain which I had to drill into the actual handles themselves. I decided to not have him have any external straps, as I want him to be the simplest of them all. His shoes, however, I painted on. Everything is also painted and sculpted, I forgot to mention. And each of them also have their name tattooed on their arm in Japanese, because why not? Now I gave him shoes because of his fascination with humans, as he usually has in the cartoons and movies. So I thought, hey, why not? So that's the turtles. Next, we have Splinter.
Anger is self-destructive.
So with Splinter, instead of ordering a rat head, I actually took a werewolf headpiece from an old CMF line and just dremeled the hell out of it and sculpted on the ears, as well as his little rat beard. The robes that were inspired by my Star Wars figures I did earlier, which I haven't done a video yet, but will do soon. And the tail is a bent antenna whip, because I wanted it to stay in one position. Everything else is just painted, and that's Splinter. Next up we have April O'Neil.
This is officially the worst idea in the history of ever.
April is one of the more simpler figures with just gray legs, a painted torso, painted face, and then a painted hairpiece with a custom jacket. The torso does have the hips dremeled in, but they're hard to see because of the jacket. I didn't want to just give her a jumpsuit look or a plain t-shirt, so I painted on a little turtle shell design. Next we have Casey.
Now, who wants to beat a drum?
With Casey, I gave him a custom jacket, a quick cricket bat because I didn't have any other sports pieces, and a custom sculpted mask to resemble a ski mask. And the 3 lines, of course, to give him the more skull design that he has. The head base is a Chris Pratt head, but you can barely tell, with little black circles around the eyes, similar to how live-action Batman does it. The jacket is actually from Cape Madness. I had it for many years. Gave him some painted muscles because he's buff. And then I used a couple rod pieces in the back of 2 cylinders to simulate a golf club and just a random bat. And that's Casey Jones. Next up we have Baxter Stockman.
The world, as they say, is my oyster. And aren't the pearls lovely?
For Baxter Stockman, the torso is an old director's piece from LEGO Studios line with the vest painted in recolored in pink and then a little yellow bow tie to match his colors. And then I just made a quick lab coat for him since, you know, science. The hair is a modified Finn hairpiece and the face is a modified Don Cheadle War Machine headpiece. Everything else is quite simple. I also gave him a mutagen because, hey, he needed an accessory, so why not? That's Baxter Stockman. Next we have Karai.
Let's see how well you do against someone who's better than you.
Another one of my favorites from these lines. Karai has a lot of fabric elements, being a fabric waist cape and then fabric on the torso to represent some ninja robes. I also gave her a scarf, as she usually has one, with a quiver glued on the back as well as a sheath for her sword. I gave her a red blade as opposed to just a silver blade, as one of the lines, I forgot what it was, had her with that. I used a Lloyd hairpiece repainted, as well as an Inferno Squad headpiece to match the desired skin tone.
Caused me enough trouble. Now you face the Shredder.
Shredder, easily the hardest of all these figures. Now, just going over the pieces. Random rod for the spear. Legs are extended, arms are normal. Random spongy cape. I used a shoulder bone piece from Ninjago for his blades. Random glue pieces for the torso, and then a classic samurai helmet for the base of the helmet. I sculpted everything else or glued on fabric for it. The blades on his arms are actually from credit cards. And I decided to give him teeth, more like classic feudal Japan samurai, also inspired by Ghost of Tsushima, because I like that design more than the classic look, and makes him seem just better in my opinion. That's the Mutant Turtles.